Picture this. It's my 30th birthday. Candles are lit. Families gathered. And my mother-in-law walks up with what I thought was a birthday card. Instead, she hands me divorce papers with a smile and says, "Happy birthday, honey. Time for you to set my son free." What happened next changed everything. If you've ever dealt with a toxic mother-in-law or wondered how to handle family drama with grace and strength, you need to hear this story. Hit that like button if you're ready for some real talk. And don't forget to subscribe because stories like this deserve to be heard. My name is Lisa, and 3 years ago I married the love of my life, Anthony. He's everything I ever wanted in a husband. Kind, supportive, funny, and he loves me for exactly who I am. But there was one problem that came with this perfect package. His mother, Beverly. From the moment Anthony first brought me home, Beverly made it crystal clear that I wasn't what she had in mind for her precious son. It wasn't anything she said directly. Beverly was way too smart for that. It was in the way she would hug everyone else when we walked in, then give me this cold little nod. It was how she would ask Anthony about his job, his health, his friends, and then turn to me and say, "And how are you doing?" Like I was some charity case he'd picked up off the street. I tried everything to win this woman over. I brought homemade cookies to family dinners, remembered her birthday before Anthony did, complimented her garden, asked about her book club. Nothing worked. If anything, my efforts seemed to annoy her more. She'd take my cookies and immediately start talking about how her neighbor makes the most amazing snickerdoodles. She'd thank me for remembering her birthday, then mention how thoughtful a non-honest ex-girlfriend used to be with gifts. Anthony saw some of it, but men can be pretty blind to these subtle digs. When I tried to explain how his mother treated me, he'd say things like, "Mom's just old-fashioned, or she'll come around." He genuinely believed that deep down his mother was a good person who just needed time to warm up to me. Sweet man, but completely clueless. My friends were less diplomatic. My best friend Nicole would roll her eyes every time I mentioned Beverly. "Girl, that woman is never going to like you because she doesn't want to share her son with anyone. Stop trying so hard." But I kept thinking that if I just proved myself worthy enough, showed her how much I loved Anthony, she'd eventually accept me. The real wake-up call should have been last Christmas when Beverly gave everyone meaningful, expensive gifts. Anthony got a custom watch. His brother got golf clubs. Even Anon's cousin's new boyfriend got a nice sweater. I got a generic candle from the dollar store with the price tag still on it. Anthony didn't even notice until I pointed it out later. And even then, he made excuses for her. As my 30th birthday approached this past March, I was actually excited. 30 felt like a milestone, and I wanted to celebrate properly. I mentioned to Anthony that I'd love to have a small party, maybe 15 people, good food, music, nothing too fancy, just our closest friends and family having a good time. That's when Beverly swooped in. "Oh, honey, let me help you plan this party. I have so much experience with events and I know exactly what would be perfect." Before I could even respond, she was already making lists. Part of me was hopeful. Maybe this was her way of finally accepting me, wanting to be involved in something important to me. I should have known better. Beverly took over everything. She changed the venue from our cozy backyard to the community center. She expanded the guest list from 15 to 50 people, inviting family members I'd never met and friends of hers I'd never heard of. She ordered flowers I never would have chosen, and planned a menu that included nothing I actually liked. When I tried to voice my concerns, she'd pat my hand and say, "Trust me, dear. I know what I'm doing." Anthony was caught in the middle as usual. When I complained to him about his mother taking over my party, he'd say, "She's just trying to help Lisa. She wants it to be special for you." When Beverly complained to him about me being difficult about the planning, he'd tell me to just go along with it to keep the peace. The night before the party, I was lying in bed feeling anxious about the whole thing. This was supposed to be my celebration, but it felt like I was just a guest at someone else's event. Nicole had called earlier to warn me that something felt off. "I don't trust that woman, Lisa. She's up to something. Beverly doesn't do anything nice without an agenda." I told myself I was being paranoid. Maybe Beverly really was trying to do something special for me. Maybe this was her way of finally welcoming me into the family properly. I fell asleep, hoping that maybe, just maybe, this party would be the turning point in our relationship. The day of the party arrived, and I have to admit, everything looked beautiful. The community center was decorated with elegant flowers. The tables were set perfectly, and there was enough food to feed a small army. Beverly was in full hostess mode, greeting guests, making sure everyone had drinks, playing the perfect mother-in-law. For the first hour, I actually relaxed and started enjoying myself. People were complimenting the party. The food was delicious, and Anthony looked so happy seeing all our friends and family together. I started to think that maybe I'd been wrong about Beverly's intentions. Maybe she really had just wanted to throw me a nice party. I was talking with my college friends near the gift table when I saw Beverly approaching with a big smile on her face. She was carrying an elegant envelope, cream-colored, heavy paper, the kind you'd use for wedding invitations. My heart actually warmed seeing her walking toward me like that. Finally, I thought she was going to give me a real gift, something meaningful. "Lisa, sweetheart," she said in this syrupy sweet voice that should have been my first warning. "I have something very special for you. I've been saving this for just the right moment." The way she said it with this big smile and her eyes twinkling, I actually felt excited. Maybe it was a heartfelt letter, welcoming me to the family, or a piece of jewelry that had been passed down through generations. I took the envelope from her hands and I swear the whole room seemed to quiet down. It was like everyone sensed that something important was happening. I carefully opened the envelope, expecting to find a beautiful card with some touching message inside. Instead, divorce papers fell out onto the floor. I stood there staring down at these legal documents with Anon's name and my name printed on them. And for a moment, my brain couldn't process what I was seeing. The papers were real official legal documents that someone had actually prepared. I looked up at Beverly, confusion written all over my face, and that's when she delivered the line that I'll never forget for as long as I live. "Happy birthday, honey," she said with this satisfied smile. "I think it's time for you to set my son free." The room went completely silent. I mean, you could have heard a pin drop. 50 people all staring at me, holding divorce papers on my 30th birthday. While my mother-in-law stood there looking proud of herself, I felt like I was going to throw up. The humiliation was overwhelming. All these people, many of whom I barely knew, witnessing what felt like the most degrading moment of my life. Some guests started whispering to each other. Others looked away in embarrassment, and a few actually got up and left. I couldn't blame them. Who wants to be at a party that just turned into a family nightmare? Anthony came rushing over, his face white as a sheet. "Mom, what the hell is this?" he demanded. But Beverly just stood there with her arms crossed, looking pleased with herself. "I'm giving Lisa the gift of honesty," she announced to the room. "She's not right for our family, Anthony. She never has been. I'm just saving everyone the trouble of pretending otherwise." That's when something inside me shifted, standing there holding those papers, with dozens of people staring at me with pity or curiosity or judgment. I had a choice to make. I could run away crying, which is probably what Beverly expected and wanted. I could get angry and start screaming, which would make me look unstable and prove her point that I wasn't good enough for her precious son. Or I could do something else entirely. I thought about my grandmother who raised me after my parents died. She used to tell me, "Baby girl, when someone shows you who they really are, believe them. And when they try to break you down in public, you stand up and show everyone who you really are." So that's what I did. I bent down, picked up those divorce papers, and stood back up slowly. I looked around the room at all those faces staring at me, took a deep breath, and asked for everyone's attention. "Excuse me, everyone," I said, my voice steady and clear. "I'd like to say something." The room went quiet again, but this time it was a different kind of quiet. People weren't just staring anymore. They were listening. "First, I want to thank Beverly for this very illuminating gift. I began holding up the papers because she's given me something incredibly valuable. Clarity. Beverly's smile started to fade a little, like she was realizing this wasn't going according to her plan. For 3 years, I have tried to earn this woman's respect and acceptance. I've brought gifts, remembered birthdays, complimented her cooking, asked about her interests, and tried to be the daughter-in-law she wanted. And for 3 years, she has made it clear that nothing I do will ever be good enough. I could see people nodding slightly. Some of Anon's relatives looking uncomfortable because they'd witnessed Beverly's treatment of me over the years. But what Beverly doesn't seem to understand, I continued, is that I don't actually need her approval to be worthy of love. I don't need her permission to be Anon's wife, and I certainly don't need her consent to exist in this family. The room was so quiet, you could hear the air conditioning humming. Beverly, you want to know what's really sad about this moment? It's not that you've embarrassed me, it's that you've embarrassed yourself. You've shown everyone here exactly who you are. You're a woman who would ruin her own son's wife's birthday party, humiliate her in front of friends and family, and try to destroy a marriage because you can't let go of control. Beverly's face was getting red now, and she opened her mouth to say something. But I wasn't done. And you know what the most beautiful part of this whole thing is? These divorce papers aren't worth the paper they're printed on. You can't divorce me from your son. Only he can make that choice, and only I can make that choice, and we choose each other every single day regardless of what you think about it. I looked around the room and saw Anon's uncle nodding, his cousin's wife wiping away tears, even some of Beverly's own friends looking ashamed of her behavior. I won't be divorcing Anthony, I said firmly. But I will be divorcing myself from this toxicity. I'm done trying to win over someone who was never going to accept me anyway. I'm done shrinking myself to make you comfortable. And I'm done allowing you to disrespect me in the name of family peace. Then I turned to Anthony, who was standing there looking stunned but proud. Baby, your mother has made it clear that she wants to choose between me and her. So, I'm making it easy for everyone. She doesn't have to be around me, and I don't have to be around her. We can love you separately, and you can have relationships with both of us separately, but I'm done pretending that she and I need to get along for your sake. The silence stretched on for what felt like forever. Then slowly, Anon's uncle started clapping. Then his cousin joined in. Then more people started applauding. And pretty soon, most of the room was clapping for me. Beverly looked around at all these people, her own family members and friends, showing support for me instead of her, and her face went from red to purple. She grabbed her purse and stormed out, but not before turning back to shout, "This isn't over." "Yes, it is," I called back calmly. "It's been over. I'm just finally accepting that." After Beverly left, the party completely transformed. People came up to me throughout the night telling me how proud they were of how I handled myself. Anon's aunt admitted that Beverly had been controlling and manipulative for years. But no one ever called her out on it. His cousin said she'd been waiting for someone to finally stand up to Beverly's bullying. But the best part was Anthony. He came up to me after everyone had gone home, wrapped his arms around me, and said, "I am so sorry I didn't protect you from her sooner, and I am so proud of how you handled that. You were incredible. That night changed everything in our family dynamic." Beverly tried to get other family members to side with her, but most people had witnessed her behavior at the party and weren't buying her victim act. Anthony set firm boundaries with his mother. She could have a relationship with him, but she had to respect his wife and his marriage. Beverly tried a few more manipulation tactics over the next few months, but they didn't work anymore because everyone saw through them now. Eventually, she realized that her son wasn't going to choose her over me, and she started keeping her distance. The beautiful thing is Anthony and I are stronger now than we've ever been. Going through that experience together with him finally seeing his mother's behavior clearly and choosing to stand up for our marriage brought us closer. We learned how to set boundaries together, how to protect our relationship from outside interference, and how important it is to have each other's backs completely. I also learned something crucial about myself that night. I learned that my worth doesn't depend on other people's opinions of me. I learned that sometimes you have to advocate for yourself publicly when someone tries to tear you down publicly. And I learned that standing up for yourself doesn't make you the villain, even when people try to make you feel like it does. 6 months later, Beverly sent Anthony a letter asking if she could come to our anniversary dinner. Anthony showed me the letter and asked what I thought. I told him that if she could treat me with basic respect and keep her opinions about our marriage to herself, she was welcome at family events. But if she ever tried to undermine me or our relationship again, she'd be choosing to remove herself from our lives permanently. She came to the dinner, she was polite to me, not warm, probably never will be, but polite. And that's enough for me. I don't need her to love me. I don't need her to think I'm perfect for her son. I just need her to respect that Anthony and I are adults who make our own choices about our lives and our marriage. The whole experience taught me that toxic people will often reveal themselves when confronted with truth and boundaries. Beverly had been getting away with subtle manipulation and passive-aggressive behavior for years because no one ever called her out on it. The moment someone held up a mirror and showed everyone what she was really doing, she couldn't handle it. I also learned that sometimes the most powerful response to someone trying to humiliate you is simply refusing to be humiliated. Beverly me to cry, run away, or have a breakdown. When I stood my ground with dignity and called out her behavior calmly, it completely flipped the script. She ended up being the one who looked foolish and cruel, not me. Your voice matters and your story deserves to be heard. If this resonated with you, smash that like button and share your own experiences in the comments. I read every single one. Subscribe for more real-life stories about standing up, speaking out, and finding your strength. Remember, you don't have to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. Until next time, keep shining. Music.